All right, so we'll get started. Whoever joins, they join, and if it's intimate, that's okay too. So I did a couple of
Mhm.
Facebook lives, just kind of on predetermined topics, and a couple of people had asked me to do kind of like an open forum Q&A type of thing. So that's kind of why I decided to do it. So I'll try to. If there's only a few people, we'll be able to go a little more in depth with each person's situation or dog or dogs. If more people join, I may try to get to as many people as possible. But if we stay with a handful of people, we should be good to go for the next hour. So and then if you haven't been to my YouTube channel, again, I just sent the link out through the chat to my YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos up there. I have like 3 primary playlists. One is the You Asked For It playlist, and that's where people have asked me questions about their situation, and I created content based off of their questions. I also have Doggy Quick Tip playlist, and that's just a slew of little 4, 5, 6 minute videos of little quick tips for dog training. And then I have a 7-day dog care challenge, which is basically each day for 7 days, you add something to a dog's life to enrich their life and improve their behavior overall. And then the live events I did on Facebook, I also created a new playlist. So you can check it out on Facebook, but if some people prefer to watch on YouTube, so I added them to YouTube as well. So that being said, I'm just going to open it up. It's pretty casual. So is there any topics or anything you want to talk about? Dog care, dog training, dog health, dog rescue, whatever.
So I struggle with, that we have a rescue. And I was really tuning in because yesterday your whole thing on decompression, which we have an entire article on decompression. Everybody has to agree to do it. Nobody actually does it. And then we run into a lot of problems. Oh, that's my colleague Lauren that just tuned in.
Hi, Lauren.
So we have such a difficult time getting people to understand that crate is not punishment and to allow the dog to decompress. And they run into these problems. And no matter, I mean, yesterday I was ready to bang my head against the wall. It's just, they just refuse to do it. We hear the same thing every week. And instead of doing just simple things, they would rather return a dog after sometimes 24 hours, 48 hours. It's just nuts, man. We're really struggling with it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I talked about it on my Facebook Live. I forget because I mean, this is probably one of the biggest challenges, not just in dog rescue, but dog training too, is owner compliance. So in the rescue world with fosters or even new adopters, compliance is always a challenge. And I've shared stories where and I know all my rescue friends. I know you do it too, Kat. You talk to them, you give them instructions. We give them handouts. I actually created a decompression video so my rescue friends can just send the video link to their adopters or fosters. And I forgot who brought it up during our Facebook Live, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, but maybe adopters or fosters think that rescue people don't really know what they're talking about, and it happens. And I say the same thing. I don't care who the dog training professional is and how long they've been doing it, and I've been doing it a long time. No one knows their dogs better than the rescue. It's for the most part. Obviously, if a dog's getting pulled from a shelter or newly pulled, we're still gathering information. But for the most part, especially foster-based rescues, we have a lot of information at our disposal to pass along to the foster or the adopter. And I think, and I don't know I honestly don't know how we can force people to do what we say. And whether it's dog training or fostering or general dog care, or Fido is on this special food because he has allergies, and then they switch foods and he breaks out. That's just another superficial example. And especially with decompression, and I know that meme went around the internet a while ago, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
While I understand the context and the intention behind the meme, I don't put a time limit on it because each dog is an individual. Some people will take things literal. So like if the dog isn't progressing on day 4, they're going to be like, oh, this just isn't working out. Or if 3 weeks goes by and they're still pissing in the house, like, you know, oh my God, this isn't working out. Like, so I caution it's, you know, the intent behind the meme is important, but I caution people to eliminate the time frame. You know, and when it comes to fosters too, which I'm sure everybody can identify with if you're in rescue or if you've ever fostered, is we also have to hammer home that fostering, although temporary, isn't necessarily as temporary as you think, right? It's not 2 weeks. You know, it may take 2 months. It may take 8 months. So there's a certain level of commitment that we kind of need to sell too. I mean, we are salespeople in a sense sometimes as well. So we do have to kind of give that little sales pitch on, you know, on, hey, you know, we know you're going to fall in love and things may be challenging, but you have a job to do. And the job that you're going to do is going to make this dog have a wonderful life for the next 12, 15 years. You know what I mean? So there is a certain level of selling that needs to go on. But from the owner compliance standpoint, I think it's also important. And again, most of the rescues I know are pretty transparent anyway, that we hammer home, look, that you're setting the dog up for failure if you don't follow these simple things, especially early on. And most people that foster, they're fostering because they want to help the dog. So I try to put things in that, you know, try to get their minds viewing it that way as well, that, you know, we want to put the dog in a position to succeed. The crate, I understand it's metal and it has bars. Most of us introduce our dogs, whether it's personal pets or our rescue dogs, we introduce the crates positively. Most dogs will go in once, you know, and some obviously are resistant. We have to work through that initially. But the crate is not a bad thing at all. You know, you don't put the dog in the crate for punishment, right? We don't get angry and throw the dog in the crate. That totally defeats the purpose of the crate being a safe, positive place for the dog to go into. And over time, the repetition of that safe, positive place the dog goes into just becomes part of the dog's life. As much as, you know, we brush our teeth in the morning, we don't think about it. At least I hope you brush your teeth in the morning. You know, it's just part of our routine. I mean, I wake up, I press the coffee button and I do a couple of things with the dogs and I'm not even awake yet. Like, it's just habit. Like, I go press the coffee, and right now we have 3 feral puppies we're working, so I got to press the button. I got to let them out before they piss and shit in the crate, and I'm still half asleep until I step in piss that was on the floor that I forgot to clean up the night before. You know, but we do things that are so habitual, and that's what we have to I think that helps ease the blow as far as crating goes, that it's just going to become part of their environment. We're doing this right. We're making it a positive association.
Staying safe out there.
And also, whether it's a young adult or a new rescue or a puppy, if they're not crated, they are actually in harm's way physically of getting injured, right? And granted, the financial aspect of chewed couches, remote control, cell phones, sneakers, shoes, all that stuff, right? Which sucks from a financial standpoint, but that puts the dog in physical harm's way. So that usually hammers home, it's safer and cheaper for the puppy or the new foster to be crated when unsupervised. And then obviously if there's other dogs in the household, we're having a whole different conversation as far as integrating dogs and stuff like that. So, you know, and I mean, I can, in fact, let me find the video. I could post it. I will post it in the comments. I just got to find it real quick. I also have a playlist on my YouTube channel called All About Rescue, and there's a whole, you know, there's some rescue stories in there. One of the videos is on decompression, and that's kind of what I'm looking for right now. And I actually talk a little bit about the meme that we were just chatting about. And oh, let me shut that off. Bear with me. I will find it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The the Facebook Live that you did yesterday, we were gonna post in our foster room because I just can't figure out any other way to say it, and neither can Lauren and neither can Jeannie. Like, we don't know what else to say anymore. We were gonna post your video in there.
Yeah, you're welcome to. It should be public. Yeah, yeah, and then oh, here it is. Oh no. Oh, you know what? This is a good one too. Um, okay, yeah. So here it is. Sorry, I don't know if you hear me playing these videos or not, but I apologize if they're coming through. Okay, so this is the decompression video. I am going to pop that in the chat. So you got this is chat to everybody. So that should pop up on your chat.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, and yeah, and then the other thing is, as far as the challenge goes, as it relates to crating dogs, is people feel bad because they're at work 8-9 hours a day. Well, not right now. Nobody's at work right now. Everybody's stuck home. So yeah, so the time in the crate is another challenge I've faced with fosters, that they feel bad. And again, you know, if it's a puppy, it's different because we probably need to have someone come midday, because that's a long time for a young puppy to hold it in. But once they're 8-9 months old, they generally can hold it in for 8-9 hours a day. Is it ideal? No. It would be great if all of our dogs could just be free roam right away. But again, as a foster home, that's not their job. Their job is not to give the dog free roam. Their job is to, you know, do little things to help the dog be more adoptable and set the dog up for future success. So I don't know if that helps or if that answered your question, but
It does. It's just, it
it's
does.
frustrating.
It's so frustrating, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'd rather foster the dogs myself, like pack them in.
Yep. Yeah, and I, you know, that's, and I think, and you know, and at the end of the day, we, you know, and I give handouts. I have conversations. If I'm doing a home visit for a foster or an adopter, because I do home visits for both, I'm having these conversations. I'm looking at their environment. I'm picking out potential hazards, things that they have to keep an eye on that they don't view. I literally, they laugh at me. I get down and lay down on my belly on their floor so I can look at the room from the dog's point of view, because you can't see shit standing up that the dog can see. You know, I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but I'm not really that normal. So, but it's just, it is helpful to, even if you just crouch down a little bit, to get a view from the dog's point of view. So, you know, we do all these things, and now I have the videos, and I tell them stories of how little simple things, that you follow these little simple things, just get through those first few days. You're going to gather more information of how the dog is acting in your home, and the open line of communication between foster and the rescue, or adopter and the rescue, so we can help them through any challenges. Because the flip side of it is the dog may exhibit behaviors in a new environment that we weren't even aware of. So, you know,
Too, yeah.
and that's out of everyone's control. You know, I mean, we don't have kids running around. So how, you know, yeah, some of the dogs I've had might have met kids, and they seem to be good with kids. I don't know how they are with 3 or 4-year-olds launching themselves all over the furniture. Like, I don't have that information at my disposal. So that's, you know, little things like that we caution them on. But it's challenging, and it can be very frustrating.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Jump right in.
So I think that's a really good kind of segue also when you're turning over a foster dog, because I do a lot of fostering, and turning a dog over to the adopter. And in one case, I had a really bad tragedy with a puppy who actually got lost. Within the first 3 days of this new family having the puppy, you know, they were actually good friends of mine. They were the perfect, you know, going through, like you were saying, with the home visit, you know, 2 people did a home visit with them, huge backyard, the fence, the home was, you know, I get down on all 4s as well and do the same thing. I mean, the cabinets, I do everything. Like, I see if they have wall sockets on their electric sockets. It's basically like baby proofing the house. And since then, you know, I have fostered dogs, but for me at least, there is an anxiety that is beyond probably OCD, that I even have an extra whistle GPS that I put on my fosters, to, and you know, along with the you know, with the proper training, and with my I myself have 3 of my own dogs who are pretty, I would say they're well trained. I have myself in the back, but you know, you never know the variability with a foster. But at the same time, if there's any tips or tricks that, you know, for me as a foster, or me to give to new adopters, that says, hey, you know, dogs get lost, and this is what happens, because what happened with me ended in a big tragedy. And if there's anything I could have done to mediate that or make that not happen, that would have been ideal.
How long was the dog in the foster before it happened?
So she was with me. I was actually the foster.
Oh, okay.
She was with me for about 4 months. And
Okay.
I was at the point where I was about to be a foster fail and take on my 4th dog, because I fell in love, and you know, just finding the right family just wasn't in the cards for her at that point. And then a friend of mine said, you know, our dog passed away 2 years ago. I think we're ready. So I said, okay, you know, let me talk to the rescue. We'll do a home check. You know, we'll go through the appropriate channels. But it was about 3 or 4 months, I would say, that she was with me in my home. And then 3 days after the transition happened, she got away.
So did she run out the front door, or was it a leash thing, or?
It was a leash thing. Yeah, she was in a park on a leash and slipped the leash.
Okay, so from a safety standpoint, when there's a leash involved, obviously, and I mean, I'm a trainer, so I have to do, like, I use my leashes and collars a lot, so I'm constantly checking them for frays and stuff like that. I also don't use like those plastic snap collars.
No, yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
They're the martingales, and I have harnesses, but all of my dogs are double leashed. So
Okay.
all my fosters are also double leashed and harnessed. When I give them over to the adopters, I always say, listen, this is my protocol. This is what I've done. I give them what I purchase. So
Right.
I give them the harness. I give them the 2 leashes. I give them the martingale collars. I mean, they're not getting crap.
Right.
Basically, when I'm giving them over, if it's through a rescue or whatever, I say, listen, this is my part for you. Even before the dog got loose. I mean, it's just a phobia that I've always had, is having a lost dog, and it was a nightmare come true.
Right. So from a training standpoint, obviously, because tools are important, we have to make sure we have the appropriate tool on so the dog can't get away. I mean, I've seen people where the leash slipped out of their hand. Like, it wasn't really a tool issue; it was just an accident.
Right.
You know, sometimes that could happen too. But from a training standpoint, this is where, especially whether it's a foster or adopter or someone who just has a dog and they want to start working with their dog, the dog's reliability in the living room has nothing to do with their reliability at the park. You know, I give the 50% ratio is, if your dog responds to obedience 80% of the time in your living room, cut that in half when you're outside in public. You know, especially if it's the first time the dog's outside in public. So working the dog in various environments is important. What I do recommend is that if you're going to start working the dog outside in distractions, especially if it's a rescue and could be a flight risk, you know, distractions doesn't necessarily mean the convenience store down the block or the dog park. The dog's first introduction to distractions should literally be outside your door, so you can start working obedience in that setting, right? So our goal is to get to, I mean, it'd be great if we can get 100% reliability inside, but if we get 80 or 90% inside with food, right? Because we want some kind of motivator. And you know, and I don't care what anybody says. If you got to bring hot dogs with you, you bring hot dogs with you, right? You know, if you got to use some kind of walking tool, use the walking tool. Whatever puts you and the dog in a position to succeed. I like, when I'm introducing distractions, I like to use high value treats that I normally don't use. That's why I threw hot dogs out there. Because most of us might use jerky or like a dog biscuit in the house, or maybe the dog's kibble. But the higher the distraction, the higher the food value has to be. So that's one thing. So I think we get a dog working in the living room, and then we say, okay, let's go work the dog out in distractions. And then we go to the dog park. We missed a whole bunch of environments the dog hasn't been in yet, including the front yard, right? So sometimes we do have to take baby steps. And this doesn't take a long time. If the obedience foundation is solidified inside, right, it's just a matter of working the dog through some initial distractions when we start introducing and expanding the dog's world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this would help your dog with the recall when this happened, but if we know that outside the front of the house, the dog's recall was pretty friggin' solid, it gives us some confidence when we start introducing to new environments. So,
yeah, and that's the thing. The dog's recall, she was, and you can't say the dog that a dog is ever really leash trained. I mean, I guess some people really can say that if they have that confidence. I don't have that confidence. That I'm always, I'm just, I guess that's my nature, being an anxious person. But she was leash trained. She was a little puppy, so we would go to, we would go to the mailbox. I have a long driveway. We'd go to the mailbox. We'd run down the street. We'd come back down the street. So that's something. And unfortunately, the dog was hit by a car and she passed away. So she didn't. She didn't make it. But for lessons learned with future fosters, it is good to know that there are steps that can be taken, and when you hand over the dogs to the owners, the new owners, that this should also be explained too, that it's a completely new environment.
Right. And in the decompression video that I posted in the message,
so I want to watch that. I'm really excited to watch that, actually, because I think that Kat being that up was a really good. It just brought that into my head right away. Yeah,
and I talk about, just with decompression, is the whole don't overwhelm the dog, don't have 47 people over the house day one, and the walks. I talk about the walks. Start walking in the backyard with no distractions, then the front yard, then 2 houses away, then 3 houses away. Literally baby steps. And the first couple of weeks it might feel like it's a lot of work, but once that reliability clicks in their head, then whether you're 3 houses or 3 miles away, it's there and you're rolling. But we can't go from 2 houses to 8 miles. We have to build some reliability in as controlled environments as possible. And at the end, at the end of the day, you're right. I mean, leash training or recall, it doesn't matter. It's like, and I don't use remote collars for off-leash work. In fact, I don't really do much off-leash work because I hate it. Because I'm a pit bull guy and I don't believe pit bulls should be off-leash. I don't give a shit who you are. And I see trainers that they're on like highways and stuff, and I'm like, that's great. I get that you're a good trainer and you're probably awesome and your dog is probably awesome. I'm worried about Jane Doe. I saw a pit bull off leash roaming free. Like, we just don't need that from a social standpoint. It's not, it's not anything. And, my dogs are pretty well trained and I do public events with them. And, if I'm on stage, my dog will be off leash, but I'm not going through the county fair with him off leash, even though I can. Partly I don't want to get a ticket, so.
I totally respect that. That's awesome.
And it's controversial because a lot of people do it successfully and they never have an issue, which I get. It's not attacking the person who's doing it. I'm more concerned about the social stigma attached to people viewing that. Right. Because if your beagle is off leash, it's not a big deal. But if your pit is, it's a friggin' problem. And it sucks. Pisses me off, but it is what it is. Anyway, don't get me started on pit bull stigma. I actually have a pit bull advocacy playlist on my channel as well. So
good. I'll look for that too. Awesome.
Yeah. There's a 5 pit bull myth video, and there's also I debunk pit bull statistics. So
awesome.
Anyway, I gotta reel myself back in here. Cat knows I get a little wound up.
Oh no, you and I, we're on the same team there.
Yeah. So, but and Megan, it's an individual dog thing too. And even if it's a 4-month-old puppy, I got 3 feral puppies here right now, and I mean, they all are progressing at their own rate, and you know, and they're feral. So like I really, like there's some dogs I can kind of push a little. I can't push these dogs. I have to support them progressing at their own individual rates. They're all from the same litter, born in the woods down here in North Carolina. The one dog, he's already sitting, downing, sitting from down. He comes, he sits up, he goes in his crate now that I just point, and the other two are like, so we have to support their individual journeys as well. So what you went through, well, and it sucks, and you're obviously you learned your lesson, whatever, you know, and you're gonna, whatever modification you have to make, you will. That doesn't mean your next 4-month-old puppy or whatever is gonna do the same thing. You know, but I don't know, did I just totally go off on a
No,
tangent?
that's perfect. Thank you so much. It's just good to know that it's reinforced and that it should be reinforced for people, you know, foster to owner, rescue to owner, whatever the situation is. It's something that just with the topic prior to this, it was a perfect segue.
Okay, cool. Floor's open. Anyone else? Go ahead, Holly. Let me unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, go ahead, Holly.
Okay, well, thanks. It's nice to be in community with dog lovers. I have 2 foster failures with me. This one was my latest foster failure after 8 months. He came from a 60-dog boarding house. He was a hot mess. What you said about, and he ran the first time when somebody else had him. It was a nightmare, but that's not the question. The dog food that I've been using for years, Natural Planet Organics, is going through a change. And I'm looking for recommendations. I know, you know, that you have to mix their food, you know, 25, 75, I know all that. But I'm looking for what is it that you feel is a good quality food that you feed your dogs. I'm looking for what's next.
Okay, so how old are they?
The youngest one is 4 and the oldest one's a plot hound, and she's about 8 or 9.
Okay, so the Natural Planet Organics you're talking about the grain-based one, right?
The chicken and oats. I just ordered their duck and whitefish to start mixing it. I'm not sure if the company's going out of business or they're just not supplying pet flow anymore. I'm having a really hard time, and I'm thinking now's the time to start to change. And I don't know if I want to stay with organic, if I want to stay with chicken. My dogs love fish. I don't know. So what do you feed your dogs?
Well, I'm a proponent of raw, so that's usually my go-to. Obviously, it's a little more expensive, but so dry food wise in your situation, because you have a little bit of an age discrepancy too, and an easier transition from the Natural Planet Organics might be the From Adult Gold, which is, it's a great company, it's a good food, it's comparable to Natural Planet Organics.
How do you spell it?
FROMM.
Okay, I want to let you know that I prepare a certain amount of food to go on top of theirs. I don't believe in just letting a dog eat dry kibble.
Good.
You know, so whether I'm putting a sweet potato or I'm making a chicken soup for them, and they do get a certain amount of raw. You know, if I go to the chicken farm, Gothel Farms here in New Jersey makes a raw frozen, and they'll take my fingers off for it. They love it.
Oh, excellent. So then your transition will be a little easier. You know, because normally I recommend a 25% increment over the course of 12 days.
Yeah.
So you could probably expedite that a little bit, and you know, you could do 25% increments for every 2 days, for instance. If you want, you can add some canned pumpkin into their ration just to ease any digestive upset. But if you're doing if you're doing a mixture already of either fresh prepared or raw, you're not feeding, their ration isn't 100% kibble anyway.
Right.
So it'll be an easier transition on them. The other option is how I switch in you know, because especially when we moved down here and then we closed our shop up in New Jersey, I wasn't feeding 100% raw anymore. So I was doing some home prepared and stuff like that. So what I would do is I would just fast them a meal and then switch them right over to whatever I was doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it wasn't just going from one kibble to another. If it's going from one kibble to another, I'm always conservative. But in a mixture, you can go a little quicker. But if there's no rush and you still have some of your old food, I still recommend transitioning them as slow as you need to. I mean, it's the beautiful thing about when we have the old food, there's no rush. If the food, like right now, some people are having issues with procuring food. I mean, even
Yes, we are. Yes.
Chewy is having sourcing issues. So,
Right.
but yeah, From Adult Gold is good. And then where are you located?
Believe it or not, I'm in Lakewood, New Jersey. I just got here, don't know a soul, and I'm on the outskirts because we're a hotbed here. But up in northern New Jersey, I used to go to Goffel Farms, and because they're a chicken farm, and not only did they have their own raw dog food, but they had very fresh. Because my concern with raw is the freshness of it.
Yeah.
Especially, bacteria and all that stuff. I teach a certain amount of holistic health.
Right.
I've been in that field decades, so I'm very wary about that. So I don't know what my resources are here. I've gotten deliveries from PetFlow for a very long time, and I can still get a certain amount of the duck and whitefish, which is grain free. My dogs really like it. It's not cheap. But I don't know which way I want to go. So I figured I'd just put that out to you.
And then, I mean, another grain-based food, and you're in Lakewood, I'm pretty sure you have a couple of independent pet stores around by you. And
I have no idea.
Well, there's a company called Abady, Abady. They're based out of Poughkeepsie, New York. And I mean, they have the single best grain-based food in the entire country, and it sucks that they don't distribute it throughout the country. There's nothing that even comes close to their formula. It's simple. It has the lowest fiber you will ever see on a dog food bag because, as you know, high fiber is bad for dogs. But at any rate, Abity is it comes in a chicken formula and a lamb formula. And then something else, if you're leaning grain-free, Canine Caviar I've had a lot of success with dogs, especially with age discrepancies. Because if you look on the back of the bag, are you familiar with when a dog is life stages formula versus? So
most of them that I see today, and I don't have a pad, so I can't be writing this down.
That's okay. I'm recording this, so you guys can watch this again.
Most of the ones that I see today are all stages. And the other thing is I'm looking for a place that'll deliver. I'm just recovering from, I don't even want to talk about what I'm recovering from. So schlepping 25-pound bags. I'm looking for a company that's going to deliver to my door.
Right.
And PetFlow did for years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and people have preference. I get stuff from PetFlow. I'm also on Amazon and a Chewy affiliate, so I have, I get stuff through them as well. But right now, it's like we'll get it wherever the hell we can get it.
I just saw a company that said that they had, and then it was free delivery over $50. So I ordered 2 bags, and then they put on like $36 delivery. So I sent them a message, but I haven't heard back from them, and it's not a company that I'm used to dealing with. So I don't know, but I'm already up to, playing WTF because things are really changing, and I'm not the type to wait till the last minute. I have a certain amount of food. I've already started transitioning the duck and whitefish, but I figured I'd have that conversation with you. And so I'm going to look into From. And
they've been around forever. They're still family owned. They haven't sold out yet. So, yeah. Cool.
And it's always good to know what other dog lovers are feeding their dogs, because I'm not the type to go into Costco. I don't even have a membership and buy something off the shelf. I've always been very concerned with ingredients and quality, the same thing for humans.
Yeah, my boarding clients or foster dogs, I actually feed them Costco's Nature's Domain grain free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it reads very similar to like Earthborn.
No kidding.
Yeah, it reads ingredient wise, the nutritional analysis, and I mean it's $30 for a 35-pound bag. I'm not gonna lie, that plays a role. Sometimes I'm feeding 10, 12 dogs, so saving $10 on a bag of food goes a long way. I mean, so a lot of times I'm getting reimbursed by clients, but if I'm not, I have a small rescue, so I have to be aware of my finances as well. So
Absolutely.
Yep. But yeah,
Yeah.
the nature's domain. And remember, well, not always, but since the China fiasco many years ago, Costco went all made in the U.S.
Great.
So just make sure that it doesn't. Now remember, when you see made in the USA, that is 100% made in the USA. However, if an individual ingredient is procured outside the country, that doesn't have to be disclosed.
Oh, no.
So just keep that, like when you see fish meal, right? When you see fish meal in a dog food, if you're, cause do you all know about the hazards of having ethoxyquin in our dog's diet? It's a chemical preservative. It could cause liver issues and other stuff. Fish meal is almost always preserved with ethoxyquin. They don't have to disclose that. Now, if you call them, they should disclose that. Most good companies will say, yeah, we get our fish meal from Canada or from Mexico, and it is preserved with ethoxyquin. Some companies will throw the line at you. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't disclose. It's a whatever the hell they call it, confidentiality or whatever. But yeah, but made in the USA, we know the meat is from the US generally, but other ingredients might not be. But I know Costco, after the Chinese fiasco, China fiasco, sorry, I don't want to get mistaken for calling the Chinese anything, but the China, the China issue with the recalls from many years ago, since then Costco started shifting to made in the US. So
now, can we talk a little bit about treats? Because I've been making my own dog treats. I make sweet potato chips for them and all this stuff, but I'm afraid to. And my dogs love to chew, and I don't feel safe going into the store and getting them any chewy bones, rawhides, pig ears. I can't do it. So what do you?
Okay, so I hate dog biscuits. It's unnecessary starch added to their diet, especially if they're already on a starch-based diet. So I don't like dog biscuits. I'm a huge fan of animal parts. So beef jerky, chicken jerky, things like that. Always read the label. The shorter the label, the better the treat. Again, made in the US is safe. Brazil makes some nice products, even though it's not made in the US, as far as bully sticks and stuff. They're free range if you're getting bully sticks or something like that. And again, oh, wait, hold on one second. Let me just see this. Oh, Megan, yeah, good point, Megan. Megan popped in the chat. Made in the U.S. versus sourced in the U.S. and manufactured in the U.S. Yeah, so those are the ways. That's how they get around stuff. Anyway,
I'm a little concerned. My little one, who's mostly miniature tan greyhound, has a sensitive throat, so I'm always concerned that the jerkies will be too sharp and
well, jerky won't be. Jerky should be okay. And then now, if you need some kind of recreational chew and there's some kind of medical issue, like if abrasions on the throat going down, because I mean, in the wild, when dogs eat flesh and bone, a lot of times it's wrapped in hair. It does protect some from sometimes. Not that they eat the hair and the hide intentionally, but when we're giving over-the-counter treats and stuff, and you think there's a sensitivity, jerky treats generally aren't going to cause that unless they're dehydrated or something like that, where it could be a little harder. But beef jerky is generally softer. As far as recreational chews, you could always stuff a Kong with their food.
I do.
Soak the food, stuff the Kong, freeze it, and there you go. And then as far as, cow ears aren't terrible, and they'll get a little gooey, so that shouldn't really cause any abrasion. For smaller dogs, you could do lamb ears instead of cow ears. They're also soft. It's cartilage, right? So once they start chewing on it, it gets a little gooey. Not gooey like rawhide. I hate rawhide. I don't recommend rawhide. Don't ever feed rawhide. Don't feed greenies, all that stuff. Stay away from hooves, regardless of whether there's a medical condition or not. Medical conditions aside, raw meaty bones are my favorite. So you can get a raw meaty knuckle bone for a bigger dog. You can get a raw meaty kneecap for a smaller dog. And even with your dog with a throat issue, they're going to be scraping away at that bone. So they're not going to be ingesting large chunks. And if they do start cracking it, you could always take it away. But raw meaty bones and kneecaps, those are my raw go-tos. I don't even although raw bones don't technically splinter, I have pit bulls, so I don't give them any weight-bearing bones because they're just gonna crack that shit.
Well, are you ever concerned about this stuff breaking their teeth?
No, it's happened. You know, shit
Last
happens.
thing I need is a vet bill for a broken tooth.
Yeah, you know, I'm like a mechanic. You never see a mechanic driving around in a pristine Mercedes-Benz. They always have that beat up jalopy, right? That's the kind of stuff that winds up at my house. So.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that I'm not concerned. Obviously, I love my animals. I love my dogs. I'm concerned about their well-being. But when you're giving them the knuckle bones, they are chewing. They're gnawing this way. They're not gnawing this way. So they're probably not going to crack a canine. But that's why I'm careful too. I do supervise them when they first start chewing and I first start offering something new. I always supervise anytime I give a new dog something new.
Do you separate your dogs? When I give my dogs treats like that they chew on for a long time, I separate them by a gate because I don't want any fighting.
I do. I always have.
Okay.
Now, I've had dogs that I didn't necessarily have to do that, but I've always had hardwood floors too, so that was a big equation. It's a mess to clean up. They drool. So even when I put a towel down, they always switch the towel out of the way and they're gnawing on the hardwood. So I'll put them in the crate when they're chewing on the raw meaty bones. If it's bully sticks and stuff, then it's not that big of a deal. But if conflict is an issue, then yes, separation is a good idea. But duck feet, chicken feet, raw or dehydrated are all good. As far as recreational chews, especially for the little ones. And I mean, I give my pit bulls duck feet, and we give our Shih Tzu duck feet. So it's just they last the Shih Tzu a few minutes, they last the pit bull a crunch. So So and I actually have, I think I have a treat link. Let me see if I could pull that up real quick. Bear with me and I will find it. I mean, it's great that I added so much content to my channel, but it's a pain in the ass trying to find stuff.
I didn't know you had a channel.
I put the YouTube channel in the message box below.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, so the short link is bit.ly/Jeff Coltenback. So bit.ly/Jeff Coltenback. And then I put the long link as well. Only because I had a YouTube channel many, many, many years ago, and it was under Jeff Coltenback, so I can't even use my own name for my new friggin' YouTube channel. Because YouTube won't let you. So let me see if I know it's here somewhere. Okay, so I'll message this to everyone. That's a YouTube link on recommended chews and treats. It's a short video. It's not long. We may have talked about more stuff here. So.
Thank you, Jeff. I have some people shopping for me, and I said to them, call me if you need anything. And so they called. Yeah. So I'm going to sign off now and then watch the rest of the recording. But I thank you so much.
No problem.
And I'm going to look at the food. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Anybody else want to chime in? What you got going on?
Jeff, I came in late. I'm one of Tony's foster moms. And I guess I just got the message in here as to that you were going to have this meeting, but I wasn't quite sure what it was about.
It's just an open forum Q&A. So
okay.
My previous lives on Facebook, I kind of had a topic in mind and just kind of went with it. And a couple of people asked me about or suggested I do an open Q&A. So here we are. It's pretty casual. If you have any question at all, or you want to share something, feel free.
No, actually, I'm a nurse, so I'm working quite a bit right now.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for all you're doing.
I'm not fostering right now, but I do have 2 of Tony's dogs that I've adopted through her. So.
Oh, excellent.
They do pretty good.
Good, cool.
I go to a trainer here where I live, but of course that's all been shut down. So. Yeah,
I know. My video consults have went up because I'm not doing any privates. You know, I mean, I probably could. I just, you know, unless it's an emergency situation where someone has an aggression case that they might be getting rid of a dog, I might consider going to somebody's home, but I'm just not even playing around with it. I just,
Yeah, I don't blame you.
you know, it's
Crazy up here.
I'd rather be safe than sorry. I got too many dogs that rely on me. You know, but anybody else?
Hi, Jeff.
Who
Hi.
said?
Sorry, I joined a little late. Sorry, I thought it started at 7. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's my sister.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Is the meeting almost over?
We don't know. We're still going.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay.
All right. Anybody else?
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Alicia, how are you?
Good. How are you?
How's your little terror?
She's being okay right now. There she is.
Because you know why? Because we're recording and she knows it.
Yeah, now she's being good.
Yeah.
But we've been having her jumping like crazy. She just reached the 5-month mark. And now she's tall enough to get onto the table, or all her top paws onto the table. So we've been trying to curb that, but not too sure how. There's the squeaker going.
That's okay. So what is she jumping on? Everything right now?
Pretty much. Table, counter, me, Mike.
And how she's 5 months now?
She's just 5 months now.
Okay. How much does she weigh?
When we took her to the vet last, she was about 20 pounds. I'd say she's maybe like 22 now.
Okay, so what's she gonna max out around 30, 35 maybe?
I think so. She's pretty small.
Yeah. So all right, so do you remember the first time she jumped?
Probably when we got her, like coming home, like a few weeks after we got her home.
Okay, what happened?
Nothing, just jumping up and grabbing for hands. Like if
So
her hands were
when
her
she
size.
first came home, she jumped up and mouthed. That was the thing. And I remember, actually, I talked to you guys when that was going on too. But,
yeah. She's still pretty mouthy. It's calmed down a bit, but she still will like just lunge and go right at your hand.
Yeah. So jumping oftentimes is a learned behavior, and it's hard to say, you know, when she learned it. And, you know, the funny thing about dogs is they learn so quickly. And if she jumped once and got any kind of attention, physical affection, a loving gaze, or one of those fake reprimands like, now don't jump, you know, like, those actually validate her behavior. So, and I'm not saying that's why she's jumping, but if that ever happens, our first line of defense with any behavior that we want to eradicate is to ignore. So our first line of defense is to ignore. You can't put a fire out with kerosene. Right. So if she jumps, and this is where I talk a lot about successful behaviors versus unsuccessful behaviors. Dogs will perpetuate successful behaviors. They will abandon unsuccessful behaviors. The success of a behavior is defined by the dog, not us. So her jumping is a problem to us. It's potentially a successful behavior to her. So our first line of defense is always to ignore. Now, you can correct whether, you know, if you just kind of push her off you or whatever. She's a little dog. It's not like she's a 135-pound mastiff, right? The important thing with teaching an off command, and even if you're physically pushing her off, when we teach off, we have to reward as soon as all 4 paws are on the ground. Because we're saying off for her to get the hell off of us, but what she's learning is off means all 4 paws on the ground. So it could literally be a firm, stern off. Good girl. And it happens that fast. Okay? And I think I have an off video too, but anyway, we'll talk about it now because we have.
I watched it.
Oh, okay. We have a few minutes. So, and remember, you know, and there's this whole thing, and it still goes around the dog training community that you have like, you know, 15 seconds to capture or correct the behavior. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but toss that shit out the window. Okay. you are correcting and rewarding right now. Okay, you are ignoring right now. So if you give her an off correction, I say correction because in my mind the verbal cue off is a correction, right? Off, good girl, and we reward immediately, right? You know, kind of like the old adage: if a dog chewed on a remote control and we come home and found it, you know, an hour later and they're not chewing on it, we can't yell at them. It's over and done with, right? If we yell at them at that point in time, we're yelling at them for what they're doing at that moment. And if they're happy to see us and we're yelling at them for chewing on the remote, we're actually yelling at them for being happy to see us. And that can cause anxiety. It can cause issues with recall and all that stuff. So first line of defense is to make sure that you are ignoring unwanted behavior. And if she's jumping on a table or something, you know, make sure there's nothing up there that she can get or anything like that. Food items are tough. Even the scent of food could potentially validate jumping. Not necessarily the grab of the steak. It could be the process of going towards the scent, right?
Yeah.
You know, but the important thing is we have to reward the other side of that verbal cue as soon as it happens. So, you know, and you know, she's 5 months old too. So, you know, a lot of stuff that you've experienced the last couple of months it's not going to be there in a year, you know, especially, you know, I mean, you guys have experience, you know, I mean, and, you know, it's not like Riley was perfectly trained. I mean,
No,
you know,
no, she was not.
I mean, you know, Riley was a handful. So, you know, I mean, so, you know, but, and you have a smaller dog. So the problem with going from a 55-pound energetic pit bull to a 20, 25-pound dog, sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case with you guys, but sometimes unwanted behaviors are a little more acceptable because they're not as invasive just based on the mere size and strength of the dog.
Yeah, that makes
Picking
sense.
up, if you pick up a puppy a lot when they're little, that could promote jumping. You know, rule of thumb is all 4 paws on the ground. You know, and you know, it's not to say you can't make her sit, call her up on the couch and kind of cuddle with her. That's fine. But we don't want her making those decisions on her own.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Oh, and for treats, we really like the freeze-dried beef lung.
Yeah.
And Chewy sells it like in bulk, and we get that for her. So.
Yeah, that's all. The the beef lung, the lamb lung is nice. And maybe I forgot Holly, I think her name was, that left. So maybe if she rewatches the rest of this video, the beef lung is a great suggestion. Thank you. And the lamb lung is a little softer than beef lung. So for her dog that had that throat thing going on, the lamb lung might be a good option for her too. So thank you for that. Forgot all about beef lung. It's amazing. I used to sell all this stuff and I'm so rusty because, you know, I had, you know, thousands of SKUs and thousands of products. And now that I don't, I got to make sure, you know, I kind of go with what works for me and what has always worked for me, but I forget stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, Sarah, when she came to the house, she brought that. And ever since then, that's what we've been using.
Yeah, the doggy crack. Well, we got a few minutes left. Anyone else? All right, well, I will leave you off with some cheap solicitation. Please check out my YouTube channel, look at some videos. If there's content that isn't up there and you want to see it up there, send me a message. I'd be happy to do it. I enjoy doing it, especially now I got some extra time on my hands. That's why I could do these 1-hour things. So, you know, but if there's anything up there that you want to see, let me know. I also, on my website, in fact, let me pop that in the chat. I am an affiliate with Chewy and Amazon. If you're already ordering from them, it doesn't matter, but and I do have links to the products that I use and use on my own animals. That's why I kind of did this. I mean, granted, I get like, you know, if somebody buys something, I get like 2%. You know, but I mean, it's great. It's a couple of bucks a month, but whatever. But mostly because they're products I use and I order, so they're also on both of the links that I'm gonna make sure I spell that right. Yeah. So those are a couple of links for Chewy. The dog products link is Amazon. And then I have, if you guys need to burn your dog's energy or something like that, I have a full affiliate page, and there's a thing on there from Tether Tug. It's a tug you screw into the ground for dogs that like to tug. It's really cool. My dogs love it, but of course, they're idiots, so they don't chew the ball on the end. They chew the friggin' rope, and they destroy it. So, but such is life when you have pit bulls. They
Story of my life. Yeah.
It's like, let me just affiliate. Yeah, so check that out. And like I said, if there's any content you want to see on my YouTube channel, feel free. And then during this coronavirus thing, if you guys need more one-on-one time, I am doing $45 consults, and I do it one-on-one with Zoom. If you or fosters or adopters need help and they can't get it because they can't get a professional to their home, let me know, and I'd be happy to help. So
Jeff, do you have some kind of advertisement for that? Because we have been running into we're like, hey, you need to consult with a trainer, but
I posted on Facebook a couple of times. I've been doing it for years, but mostly for people outside my area. It's just that right now everyone's outside my area. So, but yeah,
I'm going to page and get it. And
yeah, you have all my info. You can give my Facebook, my email, my cell phone,
okay,
whatever the case may be. It's $45 per half hour. But even here, like if I need to demonstrate, let me see, hold on. Deuce, come here, buddy. So I have enough room here where if I have to do a demonstration, I can. Hey, come here. Sit. Good boy. Up. Good boy. So I have an extra long cord too. So if I need to do some demonstration with them, I can. And I also, if I need them to get me video before the consult, I do that. Or if they can, pick up their phone and pan around to the dog or whatever, we try to make it as real life as possible. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. And then, okay, so what was the name of Poughkeepsie dog food place? Abady. Abady. Where in New Jersey?
We're in Rockaway.
Oh, that was you, Alicia, who asked?
Yeah.
The other lady said Lakewood.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Where do you shop, Alicia?
Right now, well, either PetSmart, Chewy.com, or that's pretty much it.
Wait, I'm sorry. Where do you live again?
Rockaway.
Rockaway. Okay.
Morris County.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's a store out your way that stocks Abady.
Okay.
But you can call them and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's Abady Feeds, but you can just Google Abady Dog Food Company. They're in Poughkeepsie, and they'll give you I don't know if they have a store locator on their website or not. They're kind of old school, but they started making some new updates to their website and stuff. But yeah, even if you just Google them, call them, they'll give you a store nearby. Yeah, they make an excellent dry food. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. All right, guys, I hope this was, at minimum, a little reprieve from this Corona crap, and hopefully I added some value as well, and I appreciate you guys. And any questions or anything, hit me up, email me, PM me on social media, and I will see all you guys soon, and I hope you all stay safe.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a great night.
Take care.
Bye.